Welcome back to my channel once again. Today the story came from Mika. Hi, I'm Mika. I would like to share the real experience of my late grandmother about 100 years ago. Her name is Sora. When this happened, Sora just 17 years old. She had a best friend called Tita. Wherever they go, they will always be together. One day, Sora and Tita decided to go to town alone. The distance to the nearest town takes 2 days and should spend the night in a homestay called Pit Stop. Everyone can stay there for free. And there are 2 pit stop. At first, their parents didn't let them go on their own. But, because there were villagers who also wanted to go to town, they were eventually allowed to go. So they left that morning. They are walking through the forest and river to the first pit stop. It was a bit late when they arrived. After a shower and dinner together, they slept. Each pit stop has several huts. Sora and Tita stayed in the smallest hut, while the other villagers who came along stayed in the bigger huts as it has 8 adults. At that time, none of the villagers had a watch yet. They also never see a clock. So they are only guided by the sun, the moon and the rooster crow. If the rooster crows once, that's a sign of 3 o'clock in the morning. And if crowing many times, that a sign that daylight is coming, which is 5 o'clock in the morning. Before going to bed, there was a villager named Punka, warned them not to open the door if someone knocked. They nodded to Punka. The next day, Punka asked them if their door had been knocked on. They replied no, because nothing happened last night. After breakfast, they continued their journey to the second pit stop. They arrived at there before dusk. At the second pit stop, Sora and Tita stayed in a large hut. It's have a room in the attic. Punka also warned to not open the door if someone knocked. And, that night Tita asked Sora why they can't open the door if someone knocked. Sora said she didn't know. Anyway, don't open it. Who knows, it's a thief or a dangerous people. And not long after, suddenly their door was knocked on. They were shocked and fell silent. First the knocker said, "Can you let me to sleep in your place?" They did not answer. Then after a while, there was another knock that said, "Please, I'm very hungry. May I have some of your food?" They didn't answer either. And the knock did not come again until in the morning. They told Punka about it. Punka told them the person is dangerous. Don't open the door for her. And early in the morning, they arrived at the little town. And in just a few hours, they set off home and must reach to the first pit stop before dusk. Upon arriving at the first pit stop, Sora and Tita stayed in a hut which have a room in the attic again. Punka once again told them to not open the door if someone knocked again. And that night, their door was knocked on very loudly. Tita peeking outside. There is a woman with her baby on her arms. After a while, there was the sound of crying baby in front of the door. Tita opened the door. Then take the poor baby. Suddenly, there is beautiful woman came at their huts and said it's her baby. Her name is Dedeng. She came from a village next to them. She said she wanted to spend the night at their huts. She scared outside and no one opened the door for her. Somehow they suddenly felt sorry for Dedeng, especially for her baby. Dedeng brought food and invited them to eat together. But they turned it down because they had just finished their dinner. Tita allows Dedeng to sleep in the attic room. After a while, Tita asks Dedeng she wants to play with her baby. Dedeng told Tita to come to the attic room. Tita and Dedeng are chatted and laughing together. After a while Sora just heard their laughter. And soon, it became silence. It means everyone is asleep. The next day, Sora called Tita and Dedeng to get ready for breakfast and go home. But no response from them. Sora went up in the attic room to wake them, but she was very surprised to see Tita's condition. Dedeng and her daughter are not there. Tita's body was stiff and there are many wounds on her body. Her bones were visible, her eyes bulged out and her mouth was wide open. The roof of the hut above her is also wide open. Sora shouted Punka's name. Punka and everyone who stay at the pit stop came to their huts. Sora cried and couldn't bear to see Toddy. Everyone at the pit stop was shocked to see the situation. Punka asked Sora if anyone knocked on the door last night. She told Punka everything that happened last night. Punka said the woman was a bloodsucker. She is a Langsuir. She's can be anything to manipulate people, and you shouldn't have opened the door last night. Tita's body was carried back to the village. The whole village, especially her family, was shocked after seeing Tita's condition, who was no longer alive. Tita's parents felt very sorry for allowing their daughter to go to town. Sora also felt so sad by the loss of her best friend. Since the incident, the villagers always be careful so that it's not happen again. Goodbye. Thanks for listening and see you soon.